about 45 with some wind this morning, and it is cold. Let me check, see what the actual temp is. Okay, so currently we're at 46 with a real feel of 38 degrees. I wasn't planning for this wind this morning. Came out here to shoot some macro this morning, so I'm going to get the camera ready. We're going to be shooting the A7R2 today with the macro lens. So let's get that guy out. Oh, wait a minute. What the hell? This isn't a macro lens. This is an 85 G-Master. What the hell happened here? Well, now what? That's right, we're going to be shooting the macros today with the 100-400 G-Master lens on the A7R2. So some of the pros for shooting this lens for macro is, one, you probably already have it. You wouldn't be considering this lens for macro at all if you wanted a macro lens. You go buy a macro. It's a minimum focus distance of just over 38 inches. This allows you to get really close at 400 millimeters to get into your subject. That gives you that 0.35 magnification. It's a versatile lens. You got focusing ability from basically 3 feet to infinity, and if you're out walking around in an area of a wetland, nature preserve, or anything, just wanting to shoot various photography or various subjects, it gives you that option. You can go right from macro to shooting birds or wildlife. So the cons to having this lens is it's heavy. It weighs in just over 3 pounds. Plus the camera body, it's an R2, old batteries, they don't last very long, especially with this lens. If you're focusing this thing, it does drain the batteries pretty quick. Usable, but you gotta have some batteries with you. I do run a battery grip on my R2 to carry 2 batteries. Generally I can walk around for a good hour and I'm good. One of the trickiest things I didn't bring it. I didn't bring my monopod. I grabbed it this morning. I'm almost positive it didn't go in the car. So that's great. Anyways, back to con number 2. Holding this thing steady at 400 millimeters is a challenge. I'd recommend using a monopod. And I forgot mine today. So one more thing to carry, one more thing to forget. I literally grabbed it and set it by the door, and I grabbed all my stuff, and I don't think I grabbed the monopod. I doubt it's up there in the car. Another con of this lens is that at 400 millimeters, you're running a 5.6 aperture. When shooting macro, you want higher shutter speeds and possibly higher ISOs, and running at 5.6 has its disadvantages. So at 5.6, it gives you a really narrow field of view. Now, you can stop this thing up to f8, f9, f10, f11. I think it goes all the way up to f40 if you let it, getting it down. But you gotta have a lot of light for that. It's like direct sunlight, possibly. My experience is when shooting this thing with birds and wildlife is f8 minimum. I can't even get a bird on a branch all the way in focus if you're below f8. Now this is the lens I just happen to have. That's the closest thing I have for macro. So this is what I got to use right now. Until I can get like the 90 millimeter G or a 52.8 macro lens, this is what I've got to work with, and it's about using what you got. You have a couple other options if you don't have this particular lens, but you do have one of the other telephotos. They do work really well in macro. You wouldn't go buy this lens just for macro, but if you already own it like I do, it's the closest thing I have to a macro lens. It doesn't have to be this lens either. There's 3 other lenses that are a little bit more powerful than this when it comes to the magnification. You have the Sony's 400-2.8, if you happen to own that. It has a 0.52. If you have the 200-600, it's a 0.66. And the recently released 75 to 350 millimeter APS-C lens has a 0.75 magnification. That's crazy to have that kind of magnification on a regular carry lens like that. So we'll see what we can get. Try to get a shot of these little cotton buds on this plant, and we're going to manually decrease our focus wheel to 1 meter, and it's going to be we're going to set that focus up so that way it's always on 1 meter. But what we want to do is we want to rock our camera into focus or pull out of focus rather than let the camera try to figure it out. The first thing we're going to do though is make sure our exposures and everything's set for this lighting. Okay, so I'm grabbing focus on this particular little limb right here, and this is how close you can be with this lens to focus on that. It can be kind of tricky to find that minimum. You got to kind of see if you're too close, too far, make adjustments. Like I said, the camera's locked at minimum focus, so we're going to get the absolute most magnification we can out of this lens by doing this. I really wish I had brought the monopod today. This will be a good example of the depth of field you have. F9, sliding it up to 5.6. Okay, here's the rock. The shots I'm showing you are of this little crack right there in the center of the screen that we're looking at. The right side of the screen, we got our focus peaking. Right now the lens is manually set at 1 meter. As you roll in, you can change that depth of field just by pulling or pushing the camera forward and back. That's what you want to do when shooting this telephoto, or probably any macro for that reason. You can see that depth of field travel through the camera on the focus peaking as you roll the camera forward and back. This will allow you to get right up to what you want to shoot exactly. Alright everybody, I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it today. Let me know in the comments below if you have the 100-400 GM lens, and if it's something you've considered using for macro, if you have used it for macro, or whatever the case may be. Myself personally, I don't have the budget to go out and buy a macro lens, so this lens fits that bill. It's what I have to use. I don't have the budget to go buy a 90 macro right now, and this is what I've got. And it's capable. It's a very versatile lens. Like I said, the versatility of the 100-400 lens lets you do a lot with just having one lens with you. Yeah, it doesn't get that wide angle, but you can do a lot with this lens, and it's quick to grab a 400 or switch back to 100 if you need the wide. Again, thanks for watching, and just go do it. The 100-400 lens, definitely look at it. It's a very versatile lens. My camera's about to fall out of the tree. Figure I'll show you my setup here. I got my notes. My notes are down there. It's a little distance of just over 38 inches. So that means from the... Sorry, there was a really cool bird just flew over, and I'm holding my 400. So there's this hawk flying around, and he was literally like 10 feet from me. And I don't think I can get a picture of him. He's moving so fast in the wind. I'll try though. Well, let's get out there and see what kind of shots we can find in this park here with this lens. There's always a train here. And I'm like 5 miles from the track, it seems like. I don't think they're supposed to use our whistles either. Takes a lot of time coming back and forth to get the camera.